Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbé, broadcasting to you through BeLive, live onto YouTube. So welcome, everyone. It's nice to have you in the house on this different day, on this Friday evening. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but when spirit directs it, that's generally what happens. For those of you who didn't know, yesterday we had a glitch. I had no internet and no cable basically from 10 o'clock on yesterday. And that hurricane had a little bit of a hiccup in our area. And then there was also apparently a dump truck that hit a utility pole. So there was quite a bit that was conspiring to keep the show on a new night for this week. So I'm glad to have you guys here and glad some of you made it. So hello, I want to say hi to Ellen. Nice to have you. Great to see you. Always brings back that Northampton vibe for me. Hi, Julie. Nice to have you here. I love seeing your grandson. I love that look. And Rachel, hey, how are you surviving, Miss Teacher there? I know with the way things have been, it's probably been a tough road, and this is probably a great show for you. Tonight, we're talking about empathic overload. And I'm assuming if you're here, you probably have already experienced that or you have seen it on someone else. It's that time when an empath who has really strong sensory perception gets too much information. And you basically go into a freeze mode because too much, too fast, too soon, too whatever. And you can really go down the rabbit hole. And, prior to, Rob said it's unheard of when empaths work in the auto industry. I'm sure it's unheard of. They never have it. But, with special circumstances, empaths can really have a hard time. We've had difficulty for a long time doing things like going into an airport or going to a mall or a concert where there's a lot of people and a lot of energy. And empaths, sort of scan their environment. And when they're scanning their environment and they're taking in so much data, it's really hard to, number one, stay grounded, and number two, not to get overwhelmed by everyone else's energy. And in some cases, we get to a place where we can't even distinguish our own energy from everybody else. And one of the things, it's something that I've worked with sensitive people for a really long time, probably because I've been a sensitive for a really long time. But one thing I noticed that has been coming up is that during COVID, a lot of us went into sort of isolation mode, which was hard for the empaths when they're used to a lot of other people's energy, but it also gave them some time to kind of remember what energy was theirs and what energy wasn't. So in a way, we went through this detoxification process. And that might have been a hot mess, last spring, as we were going through that, because sitting in your own energy when you haven't in a while it's quite startling. And then when you do encounter other people's energy, say from scrolling through Facebook, or watching the news, it can be almost an assault energetically because, you're basically clean and then you get splatted with the toxic bus of stuff that goes by. And it really just can get overwhelming. And in these situations, overwhelm can lead to the freeze that I talked about. We can also feel it coming. So sometimes we can feel the energy building around us, and feeling it building can start us getting into an anxious place because we know it's coming. And so in a way, we start to overreact to the energy headed our way before it's even gotten there. And if we're around other people who aren't as sensitive as us, they may think we're overreacting, or they may tell us we're too sensitive. And empaths also, because we are so good with all of our senses, we do it not just with our intuitive senses and our, how we feel, but we tend to go emotionally into overload. We have swings of emotions, tsunamis sometimes, or Niagara Falls, because that's, I was born right near there. So I think of like, whoosh, down the falls in a barrel. And that can just be how, the emotions almost move through you and you're just along for the ride. Some of them may be yours, but some of them may be not. And the same thing happens with other emotions like anger. We all know when somebody comes into the room in a bad mood, how quickly the mood of the entire room can disintegrate just because of one person's negativity. It's like a toxin. It's like an infection. It's its own version of, hazmat stuff. But we also can be more sensitive to things like light and sound and taste. And those may not be things that you noticed you were as empathic and sensitive to prior to this period of isolation. What I've seen with a lot of my students and with a lot of clients is that they're experiencing more sensations in general, which great if it's something that you love. If food is starting to taste better, fantastic. But if you're starting to have things like, a lot of people are even more sensitive to the smells of things. Like sometimes even just flowers are overwhelming, perfumes or chemically things, things like cleaners. You may be more sensitive to them than you were in the past. And I've experienced that with a number of people. And Rob's saying the FCC should give hazmat warnings. Yeah, you would think, but they don't believe in that, right? They don't necessarily believe in the sensitive and the psychic who's picking up on things, because then they might know when we have our little lie detector on and can tell when things aren't exactly true. Or aren't ringing with integrity, maybe. Let's use that word. So that would have its own can of worms. But, one of the things that, happens is that as an empath, when we have a full cleanse like we've had, where we've had time away, sometimes we would take a vacation, right? Time alone, to just be in nature, to kind of get all of everybody's energy off of us, get the ick off when we're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe we've been good about going out in nature. Maybe we were really good about, going in water or taking a shower or taking a bath and just really, like I said, immersing ourselves in our own energy and really cleansing off everybody else's. It's why empaths tend to really like things like sage and incense, if they can manage the smell, because it really just clears the auric layers and it helps get everybody off. What's inside is yours, but it helps just sort of get that layer of all those other people off of us. And as we are coming back into integration, coming back into society, We may have, as empaths, a harder time with certain things. We may be uncomfortable in groups that we might have been comfortable in the past, but now they're more than we're used to managing, more than we're used to interpreting. And so we may need to take it slow. Because the reality is, as we're going through the ascension, our empathic abilities are amplifying anyways. And the more they amplify, the more our psychic gifts come online. And as our psychic gifts get more and more clear, then sometimes, again, we go into overwhelm, because all of a sudden we're seeing and we're hearing and we're smelling and we're feeling. And it can be a little bit more than we can deal with. Hi, Lisa. Nice to have you. Aw, thank you. Love the rose. Hi, Julie. Nice to have you. Woohoo. I'm actually wearing 2 bracelets here that Miss Julie made me to go with my my astrological signs. She makes these really cool jewelries based on your chart and what would help you and your soul's mission. So yeah, Julie, feel free to post, because I love that that work that you do with all the charts and stuff. So when we go into that place where we're hitting almost unrecognizable energy, we're in that place of, what the heck? Why am I so sensitive to this? Number one, the people that we love may not be used to how sensitive we are now. They might have had a hard time with us before. And now it may be even amplified, because we're sensing our fullness sooner. We're sensing the energy coming before it actually gets to us. And we may be picking up on things that we didn't used to. You also may be having a lot of difficulty sleeping, because so much information, you took in so much information during your day in the outer realms of your aura, that when you go to sleep and try to process it, you're like hit. I've noticed that. Oh, hi, Amy. How are you? Woohoo! Glad you figured out how to bring up the chat. Nice to have you, Amy. And Rob's wearing 2 of Julie's bracelets himself. Yes, they're very, very helpful. And so one of the things that I've been seeing for myself and for other people is almost this energy of almost having like a panic attack, like accelerated heart rate, like this feeling of agitation, all of this bubbling energy, right when the rest of you is exhausted, and you stop your energy for a little while to try to go to bed, and all of it's still vibrating out here. And that vibrating out there makes you nervous or anxious, because it feels like an attack is about to happen, except it's really just your own energy field. Or sometimes you've been having really intense visioning while you're sleeping, and the waking up part, integrating back into the earth realm from the vibration you were in while you were sleeping, that can be overwhelming, because you start hitting all of the energy of your household and of your town and of the planet. And so I'm seeing a lot more people who are experiencing things that are similar to like a panic attack. For me personally, when I was traveling, I went through a number of places where the Civil War stuff happened. And in that driving, I got inundated with a lot of the emotional energy that was still in the ground in those areas. And it's not that I haven't felt that before. I just wasn't expecting it. I don't know why. I guess I tuned out the fact that we will be driving through that that area. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. I just like made sure I didn't realize, or I might not have chosen to drive my son to Dallas. But you know, in that, I had a lot of psychic flooding along with the emotional flooding. And the interesting thing was that in the place where, you know, when it first hit, I was surprised. And so it rocked my boat a little bit. And then I had to go back to basics. Okay, what do I do? How do I ground? How do I release all of this extra energy? And I was noticing how fast it was coming. And so I called on my spiritual team and said, hey, I need something faster, stronger, better, because this is like on speed dial. How rapid the energy is flowing to me. And it actually was flowing through me. And once I was grounded enough in not just this dimension, but in multiple dimensions, then I could sense the energy flowing through me as opposed to feeling like it was attacking me. Julie says, I relate to the big vibration at bedtime, even when I tried to shake it off before bed. Oof. Yes. There was a couple of times when, a number of years ago when I was first, I was having a lot of my channeling energy opening up kind of at the same time. So it was a very big explosion. I used to have almost like seizures. I mean, they weren't seizures because I was fully aware, but my whole body would shake when I was trying to lay down. It was like the body had to let go of all the excess energy. And even though I'd saged and I'd washed and I'd grounded and I'd put on oils and used crystals, there was still that residual shake. And that dissipated as I kept with my practice. But I noticed that when I was traveling, that was definitely not enough. So, you know, some of the good standbys are the Epsom salts. I still swear by them, using Epsom salts for, especially if you can get yourself in a whole tubby. Epsom salts with lavender and even chamomile will just sort of calm your nervous system down. The smell and everything will calm you down. You can invoke the water energy to help cleanse and purify your system, and it helps. Now, there are times when we don't have access to a bathtub, you know. For a number of years, I didn't have a bathtub in our house because we only had our shower, our walk-in shower. Our downstairs bathroom was being renovated. So I didn't have a bathtub. So what I would do is I would use the Epsom salts. I'd rub them together like paste, and I would put them on the soles of my feet, and I would put them on my hands, and then I would rinse them off and allow it to come out. So Rob's saying bedtime is a time to put on a comedy. I find old Dean Martin celebrity roasts on YouTube. I was meant to be in the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, I can see that. I definitely, one of the things that, that really does help is that if you do bring in laughter, you know, I only watch comedy. It's really rare for me to watch anything else. And if I watch anything else, it is during the day, long before bedtime. So if I'm going to watch some of those Marvel movies, that I love all the superhero kind of stuff, I need to watch those when I have plenty of time to process the energy and not take that on as my own experience. that's one of the things that empaths don't realize is if you're watching a drama and you're all caught up in it, your little being does not know the difference between you witnessing it live and actually it being in front of you make believe. And we see it with children. It's why we don't let children watch it, because they can't disconnect and they can't let it go. And what happens is, for us as empaths, what we watch is actually really important to our energy health. There are times we can't avoid, the news all the time, or things that are dramatic, but giving yourself enough space at the end of your day to let all of that go. So I do comedies right now. I'm in the energy of 30 Rock is my one that I'm watching right now. And I never watched it when it was actually on. So I'm finding really interesting and funny. So Rob is saying the only horror I will choose to watch is the Evil Dead series, which is very comedic. Though I'll take a straight comedy any day. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're ones, like you could watch, like, say, like the Munsters, or the Addams Family. Some people could say they were scary, but they're pretty funny, so it's one of those things where you'll know how your body reacts. But the other thing that, we often don't do enough as empaths is we don't turn off all of the things that are filling our senses. So the electronic stuff, like the computer, the TV, our phone, we sometimes keep those things going. And in a way, it's feeding the energy. Well, it's not in a way. It's feeding into the energy of our aura, and it can be too stimulating. So, if you're having trouble sleeping, then you might want to think about starting your nighttime ritual sooner. I've had to do that recently because I've had a lot of I was telling Rob earlier, I have a lot of channeling energy that is like coming through. It's coming through like gangbusters. So for me to make room for the wisdom to come through in a way that I want to, and so that I can share it with my students and my clients and all of you, I need to make space. And that means turning off the TV early, and that has been my go-to for decompressing for years. I'd have the dance studio and I would come up into my home, and I would need to unwind from all of those kids and all of their energy and all of their experiences. And I would watch TV, and I would need like 3 hours to decompress. And then I would go to bed, like try to go to bed after that. And even though I don't have that in-person stimulation right now, and those of you who've gone to a concert, maybe not recently, but you come home, you're wired, and so you're just like, you're running on all that energy. You can't go right to bed. It's very difficult. And that's true for anybody, because you're working all that extra energy off of you down into the ground. So, taking an extra amount of time to go to bed, like for me, one of the things I've been doing is I turn off all my electronics an hour before I want to go to bed. And as part of my nighttime ritual, I do the traditional stuff. I wash up and I brush my teeth. But I also have been using the oils on my hands, on my feet, through my hair, the ones that help with the empathic parts of me, and for calming and grounding. I make sure to do that ahead of time. And then I get myself tucked into bed. And when I get tucked into bed, I do read, because for me, that is a way for me to decompress. So Rob is saying, have you watched The Song Remains the Same? Powerful footage of what can happen at a concert. No, I haven't. But I just know that I actually have been to a concert with Rachel in a weird twist of reality. And one of the things that happens is that, we don't even have to go to something that amped up. We could be at something, we could watch, our favorite team play, like football, and we're watching and we're all excited and we're all amped up. And then it's like, woo! And now it's time to go to bed. Yeah, not going to happen. Not that quickly, right? Because when we're empathic, we need that ritual letting go. We need the ritual of releasing. And that might be the washing, the cleansing, putting on oils. It might be giving yourself time in bed before you go to bed. Now, for some people, reading is not relaxing. I'm somebody who, as an only child, I grew up reading a lot. So reading 100 books a year is not a big deal for me. So it's like potato chips, except for it gives my mind something else to focus on. And I usually only read things that are spiritual before I go to bed. Something that is like calming, something that I don't have to think about, something that is very just zen. So Rachel said, yes, Kesha was fab. We went to see Kesha. Lots of energy was there. It was Kesha and Macklemore. And Julie says, thanks for the reminder. I'll start my bed routine earlier. Yeah, I used to start at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then want to be in bed, want to be sleeping by 11:30. And it just wasn't happening. And the interesting side effect for those of you with pets is that it's like the animals started to understand that there was a new routine. So my girl Kitty Bell is like, part of the routine is that once I get in bed to read, she gets on my lap and she purrs, which for me helps me get back in my body, helps ground me, helps center me a little bit more, and helps remind me of the calmness that can happen to sleep. So Ellen says, I can only fall asleep listening to a guided meditation. That's fine. Rob says, meow, mama. Yes. It's part of, I love the routine with Belle. Oh boy. Julie says, working in a hospital, I'm inundated with a lot of anger energy. So when you have that experience, you want to do a quick 180 to stuff that is lighthearted and makes you laugh, and if you don't have a comedy, my other go-to is, a Disney movie or a kids movie that makes you laugh out loud. Or like old stuff like I Love Lucy. That is just, it just shifts your emotional energy off of what it had been on. It starts to disconnect and disassociate. I don't know if you drive. I'm assuming you drive to work. And if you drive to work, you might want to, as you're driving to work, have things playing in the car that help center you and ground you and keep you in your own energy. And when you're leaving, have really happy music that you love to sing along to, or have something on that helps you to release energy. You can't have meditation music while you're driving because that might not be good. But I know if you have, the Beatles is like one of my go-tos. I know there's sad songs in there too, but the songs are short, the words, and you can sing along. So if you have a playlist or something that can help you, it helps you move the energy. And that's the thing with empaths is when we get caught in like anger or we get caught in somebody's grief, we can go right down the rabbit hole and it's hard to get our way out. And Rachel working with, kids, I mean, when they're little, they're great because they're like, they have all this joy and all this energy, but they also have all this energy and they might use some of yours to keep their little balls rolling. And that can be quite exhausting. So using things that fill you up. And YouTube is great because on YouTube you can dial your channel to whatever fills you. My husband loves all the videos about how things are made. And he just loves all that history. He loves to know how things work. And for me, well, that would put me to sleep. So maybe I should watch more of that. But it holds no real interest to me. I mean, it is when I'm in like a museum, then it's interesting, but I don't go out of my way for that. Rob is saying nerd. Yes, he has a lot of nerd, and my boys all have it. They all have their own version. But theirs may be anime. But and Rachel says, I'm always ready for a nap after the little ones. And honor that if you can, build that into your schedule as an empath. When you're around somebody who has a lot of energy, you might need a nap. And that may be a strategy. One of the newer strategies that my team has me using, and it's a meditation strategy that I've used in the past when trying to do deeper work and more like visioning. But one of the things that my team has had me doing is covering my eyes when I try to go to sleep. Now, a lot of people will use an eye pillow, and that for me never worked in the past. What I have actually is I was using just a towel folded up. I was putting lavender on it, and I was just wrapping it like a hand towel, wrapping it around. But I was noticing that it's not just my eyes that need to be covered, it's my third eye. So it's like I need it to be wider than the traditional eyes. It's not my eyes that necessarily need to stop thinking and seeing. Some of it is my third eye needs to stop processing all the information that it picked up throughout the day. So the Rob, you're funny. So one of the things that I've been doing is using there are these new like eye pillows that are kind of like almost like those heating pads. So they have the bean bags in them. They're weighted. So those of us who know weighted blankets can be an empath's best friend because it stops the nervous system from firing so strongly. The weightedness of one of those heated bean bags over your face, or they even make ones that are iPads now, that I love because mine has lavender and chamomile already in it, and I can put it right around, and it calms my psychic and it calms my emotions. And so I find that even if I'm going to take a nap in the middle of the day to just reboot and recharge, I'll set my alarm, but that putting that pillow on with the oils in it just lets me remember. It sends a signal to my spiritual team that I need everything to be calm. No more processing. And actually, my dreams are way more vivid, but they're all meaningful. So, I had before I was getting like distorted information more during COVID. There was a lot of stuff coming in, but it was like so layered on top of each other, I couldn't understand it sometimes. And now we're back to a lot clearer, a lot easier. Yes. So Lisa's saying you could create your own eye pillow. I'm seeing it, the power of three. Yes. Yes. It it would be really cool as a triangle, right? For those of you who are crafty. I think I would do it as a triangle. And then it has elastic with Velcro so that it can be different sizes. And it's soft, it's like a velvet cover, and you can open it so you can take the piece out and heat it, or you can put it in the heater, the microwave, or in the fridge or the freezer if you want it to be cooler, if you're having like migraines or headaches that are psychic. And then it allows you to wash the cover. So I'm actually planning on getting some for clients and stuff when they go on my crystal healing bed, because it's helpful to have the eyes covered so that you're not seeing the flashing lights, the lasers as they're going over the chakras. But I love the idea of the power of three, Lisa. So, if you know anybody know a good seamstress, we're all on board. So, with that, use your regular grounding techniques. Make sure you're in the present moment. One of the things that was happening when I was having the emotional flooding was that I was being mindful of being in the present moment. I was being connected to the ground. I was being connected to my circumstances, where I was, and understanding that even though I was having the experience of all of this stuff flooding through me, it wasn't me. There was some separation between my being and the energy flow. And having that ability for separation helps us not get so overwhelmed. I'm not saying that I didn't get overwhelmed. I most certainly did. It was a lot, especially if you're seeing psychic things, as you're trying to drive and you're tired. Things like lynchings and, battlefields and all of that. If you're not expecting it, it can be a bit much, especially if you're somebody who doesn't watch violent movies or shows or TV. It hit quite hard. But using the techniques I instantly, as soon as we got to the hotel, I was in the tubby, I was in the shower, I was getting all of the energy off me. I was having grounding food, I was having, and my son's friend found me the eye pillow, and I'm extremely grateful for that, because I'd been using a towel, and they were like, well, this seemed like a really good thing, it might help. And it did. A Polly's pillow or PJ pillow. Yes, maybe it's a PJ pillow. I can see that. I can almost see I can see the Trinity as part of it. So I just gotta find somebody to make it. So in terms of like the last little bit, like if you are somebody who, I also used Rescue Remedy. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a fantastic product. You can get it in a lot of places. Whole Foods is one of my places where I used to always get it. I still get it there. You can get it on Amazon at this point. I like the drops that go under the tongue because it works fast. And thank goodness I had it with me. I hadn't needed it in a really long time, but it was still in my purse, and I'm really thankful it was there. It also, they have ones for chewing gum and for sleep. I haven't had as much luck with the sleep ones, but the regular stuff, fantastic. The other thing that, of course, you guys know me, I used my oils. So I used anxiety, I used overwhelm, I used stress, I used the empath blend, I used grounding. um, and I also use the seventh sense. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the seventh sense one. That is when you call in the third eye, basically, of your higher self to help support the one here that's doing all the work, so that your whole being is processing the information rather than just this physical vessel. That helped a lot. Um, Lisa says jammies for the third eye. And Rob's saying like nitro. So, I find that all of these things have helped me with my sensitivity. I'm also a big fan of tapping, EFT tapping. If you haven't used that for your sensitivities or overwhelm in the past, join my good friend Ed Langen. And Rob, if you can put that in, Ed's edlangen, I think, .com, I think is what it is, or Edward Langen. He has tapping videos that just help you learn how to ground your energy. And the tapping is basically activating your chi and the Chinese medicine points that calm emotional distress. And they also calm any excess energy that may have built up in them. So using that, thank you for that, Rob. Ed's got some great tips and tools that will help you really navigate when you're in that place of overwhelm. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I think it helps. But as I said, with the new energy and having these episodes of like emotional flooding or psychic flooding, even the best of us can get, into a place of overwhelm, and really just getting ourselves back into as much of the present moment as possible. Where can we get Polly Jo oils? You know where you can get them. TrinityMysticalEnergy.com. Yeah, they're really fantastic. If you haven't used them or tried them before, they're my medicine cabinet. I don't know about some of you guys, but especially for emotional things, because we don't need to be taking medication if we don't need it, and it's a tool to have in our toolbox. It can help us really get ourselves to where we need to be. Anxiety and overwhelm, and stress were the three biggest sellers last year. Shocking. Out of my oils, because that's what people were going through. And even if it's shifted and this year it's a different thing, I'm sure, Rachel can say, coming back into the classroom, there's anxiety, whether it's on the teacher part or on the kids part or staff or parents. There's just this more a level of anxiety going back to a restaurant if you haven't been in a while, or going out to a show. I went to see a Gunkwit has a playhouse, which is the Summer Stock Theater. So I went to see a musical show, and they had set up new seating and stuff, but there was that anxiety of like, oh, there's a lot of people under one roof all at the same time. How are we going to experience that? And they did a fantastic job. So there you have it. So let's do our meditation. Let's get some of this excess energy off, because I want to make sure that this video is something that you can go back to, and you can fast forward to the meditation. on any time when you go into overload. Or if you have a friend who goes into overload and you're like, you know, go to this video because it will help. Um, and then it becomes one of your tools in your toolbox. That's the point of chakra sessions, is giving you the tools that you need to help heal yourself. So let's get this all rolling. Um, and I might make some clearing noises. Those of you who know me pretty well know that that can sound a little squawky. They've been quieter lately, so I'll do my best. So let's get really into our body, get into the present moment. Take a couple of really deep breaths if you can. If you're sitting in a chair, just connect to the feeling and the sensation of the chair supporting you, or the ground supporting you, the bed supporting you, whatever you are connected to right now. Just give yourself a moment of feeling almost like you're melting together. You're merging your energy and the stability of what you are connected to. And connecting that energy even more completely with the earth beneath us. Feel the earth coming up to hold the chair or the furniture or just ourselves, wrapping and supporting us. We're going to invite in the divine however we perceive that, to connect to us and through us for this healing, surrounding and protecting us with infinite love and infinite light. And feeling a bubble of protection around and beneath us, understanding that all healing is for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. In this sacred container, a personal bubble, we can even create a second bubble in the space that we're in, the room, or even if we're outside, imagining the sacred temple lit with brilliant light of white and gold. Now, gently asking the divine to wash over us sparkly water, to cleanse and purify, to gently release any energy we've picked up from others, from our environment, from our past, from people we know and don't know. As the energy cleanses and purifies, allowing ourselves to be filled with golden white light, and recharge and restore our innermost energy in each of our chakras and our life, and just gently going inward and noticing if there are any places where we feel tightness or discomfort, agitation, and asking the divine energy to quiet our reactions may have gotten activated in response to others or our environment, inviting our dreams to reset and recalibrate, inviting all excess energy to ground beneath us, filling the earth with energy in places where it may have experienced depletion, and bring the divine through us to her, noticing behind the heart where we have compressed hurt feelings, sadness, and grief for ourselves, others, even for humanity. And really just taking a moment to allow your energy to ground. Again, washing off any energy that's not yours, that's around you, clearing your sacred space, the room you're in, allowing the divine water energy to flow through that as well. Just taking a couple of deep breaths, and bringing your energy back to the present moment. Interesting that we were having some audio trouble. Hopefully, you got some of that. It was transmitted in your direction either way. So, hopefully, it's there. Um, yeah, yeah, the Ida thing might have done a number on us. Yeah. Um, I'm sorry about the garbling. Um, that's just kind of what happens. Sometimes it did take out the fiber optic network. in our area. So at least we have this. I'm sorry if it was a little garbly. Hopefully it's a little better now. But it's always what it's meant to be and how it's meant to be. That's how I see it. Maybe we all had a little bit of static that was coming through to be cleared. Who knows? So this Sunday, we will be having Soul Connections at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Soul Connections is where we do a healing and we connect to our spirit. And then after the healing, I do individual card readings for the energy of the month to see like what's coming up and what might be happening. And there's been a lot of change coming up. So you might want to join us for that. And we won't be having chakra sessions for the next 2 weeks because I will be teaching intensively. And then I need a week off afterwards because they definitely get me when we're doing that much deep transformational work. Yeah, I need to recharge my battery. So we won't have chakra sessions for 2 weeks, but keep your eyes out for the full moon meditation, which will be happening on September 20th at 7 p.m. That will be through Zoom. So there will be an event and a link for you to go through. And our next chakra sessions is on September 23rd, and we will be doing a special celebration for autumn because the 22nd is Maine and our first day of the new season. So we'll have a lot of stuff to celebrate when we come back on the 23rd. So there we have it. And as always, if you need to reach me or my services, feel free to send me a message through Facebook on the Trinity Mystical Energy page. And I'll get back to you if you don't already know how to contact me. And thanks, Rob, for being the co-pilot this evening and making it happen, even though it was a different day. Oh, you are so welcome, Amy. I'm glad you got to join us. So with that, you guys have a lovely Labor Day weekend. Enjoy your friends, your family, your time off, or maybe just outdoors. And get back to healing the planet the way you do best. And thank you for helping me do my mission, which is to help heal the healers, because we need you to shine your light. So with that, guys, see you soon. Bye. Hope to see you Sunday.